Welcome to Deep Thought. Real intelligence is in how one navigates life. Real intelligence is in how one navigates life. Let's talk about intelligence. You know, we haven't heard anything real recent about IQ, but I remember back in the day when it was a big thing. It was like the mid-90s, a big thing about IQ this and IQ that. And, they always have an issue about IQ, especially like some racist people. They'd be like, well, IQ is smarter and all of that or this and that. All right, yeah. You got some people, regardless of race, who can do well on some standardized tests. Very well. And stuff. In fact, you got some people who can go through school and do something. They can get all the great grades. I remember something. I remember hearing from some people who went to law school. And there was a saying. It was the A students. The A students become judges. The B students become professors. And the C students make all the money. I'm going to tell you what. Real intelligence, and I'll just say this. I'll say this in front of some people. I'll say this at a Mensa convention. Real intelligence isn't like that score you get on some static paper. It's knowledge you have, but that's not intelligence. You might can solve something on a piece of paper, solve a test, see a pattern in everything. And ultimately, I accept that if they say it's just focusing on pattern recognition. But my thing is the true intelligence come in how you navigate everyday life. How many times have we known someone who was a great student, very smart, but as soon as you put them out in the real world, they were failing. They couldn't do anything. They didn't have enough sense. They didn't have street smarts. They didn't have common sense. They couldn't solve basic issues. Like what are basic issues out here? Well, basic issues is just living. How many people, like I remember I worked retail. I told you I had 1,000 jobs. From jobs with security clearance to retail. And, I remember when I was working retail, I had we had a person come in, because you work retail, everybody come through, even if it's for a part-time job. And I remember I had this one dude, he was a literal rocket scientist. Like a literal rocket scientist. But he was lousy on the job. I was like, yes, he was technically overqualified for it, but it was a part-time job for him. It was like a Christmas job for him. But he couldn't get basic stuff done. It got on my nerves. And I told him, I said, dude, this ain't that deep. You're thinking about it too much. You try to make it complicated when it's not. I told him that, right? And that's how, that's the thing with life. See, ultimately, real intelligence is solving problems. Let me just be clear about that. Solving problems, all right? Like here's an example. Here's a great example. You get this whole argument about alpha versus beta, select versus non-select. People are saying the guys who ain't getting sex, the guys who aren't getting sex are actually smarter than the ones who are, right? But if you're smarter, if you are truly smarter, you will figure out how to get sex. Like I said, it's how you solve a problem in life. If you're a man, you want sex. If you're intelligent, you figure it out. How do you live? How do you interact with people? That's intelligence. Yes, what your knowledge is and solving some written problems or a problem in a test, yeah, that's intelligent. But think about it. At the end of the day, are you getting paid for that test? I want you to think about, are you getting paid for that test? Now, people will say, well, maybe they could do something, but, what happens when you got to switch up? See, one of the reasons I always talk about I've had multiple jobs, but the thing is, I learned early in life, you got to switch up sometime. Because even when I was working, in a job with the security clearance and everything, I still had a part-time job working in a gym, because I had a problem that I needed solved. And the problem was I needed more money. I wanted to build up my savings. So I was like, oh, how do I solve that? Oh, get a part-time job and do something that's like as menial, easy as possible. Boom, gym. So, I had the full-time job, doing important stuff, impacting people's lives. But then I had the part-time job making fun, having fun, making money. Boom. Then just navigating life. How you dealing with people? Like you get some people who they do acknowledge is what's starting to be an acknowledgement of people having social intelligence. I've met some people. I've met some men and women. They probably wouldn't do well on some standardized tests. They wouldn't do well at all. Yet they know everybody. They stay in jobs. They stay in relationships. They have a very good life. Indeed. I've met some who've actually made a lot of money. I met some of the most, I know at least three people. It was 2 men and a woman who they owned their property, had multiple properties, had levels of success in life, and all three had 8th grade educations because they exercised true intelligence. They exercised true intelligence. They were navigating life right. In fact, one of them, rest his soul, he told me, I learned more talking with him about financial matters than I would have learned in a college classroom. But they call him motherwit. He had that common sense. He knew how to manage money. I mean, in fact, I remember one of my favorite things he told me was, don't read if you want to know what's going on, read the Wall Street Times or any financial newspaper. If you want to see what's going on in the rest of the world, everything else is propaganda. Highly intelligent. And now, this ain't to say getting an education is bad or having that high IQ is bad, but how do you apply it? That's what the thing is. Are you applying it in all areas of life? Just like you solved that mathematical problem. Well, are you solving the problem of getting the right mate? Are you solving the problem of staying employed or making more money? That's the thing. Are you living the life that you want to live? That's the key thing. I don't care what your IQ is, or who on paper is. I don't care what your education level is. What good would it do if you're not living the life you want to live, enjoying yourself, being in the relationships that you want to be in, all the way around? I want you to think about that. You got to navigate life. That's the whole point. That's the point. Not the score, but the point. You've got a great high score, great. You do well on standardized tests, great. But I've met too many people. They would do well on them, but you look at how they living and you're like, what? You'd be surprised. It's a crying shame, too. But real intelligence is in how one navigates life. All right? So anyway, that's all I got for now. I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.